Faith is the most essential component to our salvation. We cannot go up in heaven and see God and talk to Him and interact with Him. Faith is our only connection to God where we can talk to Him, interact with Him, and enable Him to move on our behalf. So that faith in God, again, it is essential. So whatever is going on in your life, whatever you may be going through, whatever is going on, make sure that you don't let go of your faith. As always, I'm so glad to be here. I am in the studio, but I'm working on a lot of other projects today because we are getting ready for season 5. And we're trying to come back from this pandemic. And I know the numbers are still threatening, but I'm positioning the Sanctuary Sunday School and the Sunday School Renaissance in a way where we will not be so severely impacted should there be another shutdown. We can move forward and keep going and not miss a beat. So our subject is necessary faith. That's a wonderful subject because faith is most definitely necessary, a necessary faith. And we're going to the book of Hebrews, and here we still are talking about Paul, and he's talking about faith. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. This is a very popular description of faith. It tells us what faith is and what it does. When we can't see it, it is the evidence that it is there. It's the substance. The substance of something is what makes it what it is. So without faith, it's not what it is, So we've got to have that faith. It's the very substance. And it talks about all of these witnesses, right, that depended on God's faith. For the elders obtained a good report through faith, and that through faith, everything in the world that was framed, that was accomplished, all of it was done through faith. And I love that. I love when the New Testament goes back to the Old Testament to bear witness. And that's what Paul did here. He went all the way back to Genesis talking about Abel and how Abel offered a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, and how God even testified for Abel after he was killed, when his brother killed him, and he said his blood cried out, and God knew that Cain had killed Abel. And he was talking about it was through the faith in God that Abel was able to present an offering, a sacrifice that was acceptable unto God. That is a lesson for us as well, because when we come into the house of the Lord, or when we come into the presence of the Lord, we don't want to just offer any old thing, any old type of way. We want to offer God the very best that we have through faith in Him. Even with me being here in the studio, I work so hard because I don't want the gospel or the Sunday school presentations to be the worst things on YouTube. I want to be the best and give God excellence through faith in Him. And it talks about Enoch, who also had faith in God, and he did not even see death, but God took him up because of his faith. And then it goes on to talk about how faith, I'm going to read this one to you, but without faith, it is impossible to please Him, for he that cometh to God must believe that He is, and that He is a rewarder of them that diligently seek Him. See, when you have faith, you're not going to stop. You're going to have persistence and diligence, and you're going to seek God in every situation, in every way, for everything. And then we came back with some more testimonies talking about Noah, how Noah started building this ark. Now listen to this, because when Noah built this ark, there was no rain. It was purely by faith in God. God told Noah it was going to rain. Noah believed God, and he started building this ark. And as we know, it did rain, and he was protected because of what? His faith in God. Now, had Noah said, oh, okay, yeah, but I'm going to wait. And when it started raining, then I'm going to build an ark. And see, that's how sometimes we do God. We wait until we see and then we move. No, but faith is the evidence. You don't have to see any clouds in the sky. It can be sunshine. But if God says it's going to rain, your faith lets you know, oh, it's going to rain. And so then he went on down to Abraham, who was, as we know, the father of many nations, and how he had this promise, these promises that God made to Abraham, and that how Sarah conceived in her old age, and they were able to become the father and mother of many nations, and the multitudes, how God promised to Abraham that his seed would be so great that no one would be able to number, and how all of the nations of the world would be blessed from his seed. And I love verse 13. It's so powerful when it says, these all died in the faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them afar off, and were persuaded of them, right, and embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on earth. And the story of Abraham is so striking to me for just that reason, because these promises that God made to Abraham did not live to see any of them. But yet, what did it say? They were persuaded. He believed it, right? And he embraced it and he confessed it. Abraham walked and obeyed God just like he saw it come to pass. He knew that it was real, even though he never saw it in his lifetime. And then it goes on to say that they understood, right, that they were pilgrims. This world, see, in order to have faith in God, we've got to transcend the world, because if you look at the situations down here and what should happen and what shouldn't happen and what you think you deserve, then nothing's going to work for you. But when you can consider this world is not my home and nothing down here is worth compromising my faith in God, I'm not going to believe any circumstance or situation that I may encounter more than I believe God, because God is my Father and God is in heaven, and that's where my home is. And so I know the only way I can make it home is to hold on to my faith. And as I look at the world that we're living in right now, it's becoming more and more strange every single day. And I thank God that I got a home to go to. I don't have to suffer with everything that's going on down here. I don't have to put up with this much longer because I get to go home. It says, but they desire a better country, that is an heavenly. Wherefore God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he hath prepared for them a city. I got a city. I got a country. I got a home to go to be with the Lord. That's where my hope is. That's where my faith is. That's why when I went through being laid off, I was still able to hold on to my faith. That's why when I went through different adversities and trying to make sure I had a home and a vehicle and all of those challenges, when I went through bereavement, all of those things that I went through, I was able to keep going. See, sometimes we go through tragedy and we go through tribulations and trials and we get all down because that's what we're holding on to. But when we consider, I got a home, I live about 30 to 45 minutes outside of the Chicago city limits. So I'm in the Chicago metropolitan area, but I'm in the suburbs. And it's about 35, 40 minutes out, and I have a marker, right? When I cross this certain street, I can just breathe a sigh of relief, because after all of the traffic, after all of the work, after all of the stuff I had to go through, when I get to this point, I'm almost home. And that's how I feel about my salvation right now. I'm almost home. Hold on. Don't let go. You're almost home. If you watch the baseball game, I had the excitement of actually seeing a grand slam at a Major League Baseball game. That was just an amazing experience for me, and it was at the end of the game, and I was tired. I was ready to go home, and the kids didn't want to go. Can we just stay? My daughter, Mommy, can we stay to the end of the game? Because I want to see the fireworks at the end. And so then the picture was up, and they were telling, like, oh man, please, Lord, don't let this game go into extra innings. That batter, he hit a home run, and bases loaded, and when he hit that home run, everybody started coming home. Everybody started coming home. The scoreboard exploded. The stands went wild. See, that's how it's going to be when it's time to go home to be with the Lord. We're just going to be celebrating. We all going to get home, and we will have made it. But you've got to have the faith. You cannot stop. What if that batter had got up to the bat and said, this game is done? Because I thought the game was done. I was ready to go. But what if the batter had the attitude that I had and said, you know what, I'm not even going to try to bat. I'm just going to go up here and let this game end or whatever. But he went to the plate and he gave it his all, and everybody went home. This is the time for us to step up to the plate. If you want to make it home, you've got to step up to the plate and you've got to deliver. You got to talk to God. You got to have the faith. You got to believe, and you've got to know. We are talking about a necessary faith. We talked about Abraham, Enoch, and Abel, and Noah, and all of these people. Faith was necessary for them to accomplish what God had assigned them to accomplish. Faith is necessary for you to accomplish everything that God has for you to accomplish, so that when he returns, he will be able to say, servant, well done, welcome home.